Hello, everybody, and welcome again to Nerd to the Third Power, your one-stop shop for all things nerdy and awesome. I'm your host and master of ceremonies, Dr. Gonzo. With me, as always, in this epic quest of awesomeness is our resident anime goddess, the Cat. Cat, how you doing?
I'm here. That's it. I'm just here.
You're here, you're alive, you're in one piece?
Mostly one piece, yes.
Okay, all right. Alrighty. Brian, how about you? How are you doing this week?
I'm also here, but I'm in a couple of pieces. No, I'm just in one piece. I don't know. There's something I really couldn't come back with that. This is like, how do I explain that?
Because you're a zombie.
Let me tell you, this is a break that has been much needed because I've been working 12 hours a day every day since the 13th of May because of this. For those of you who haven't been following the news, there was a major fucking cyber attack a couple weeks ago, and I work for a cybersecurity company who I can't name because they will fire me. So we've basically been running around like chickens with our heads cut off for the last week and a half. So, my next day off isn't until Memorial Day. Yay! So, yeah, time has no meaning. I don't even know what day it is or who I am or who you people are. What are you doing in my house? Okay, yeah, but we got a fun show for tonight. Tonight we're gonna be discussing something that certainly me and Brian have certainly been really looking forward to and been really excited and somewhat a little apprehensive about, and that is the Mystery Science Theater 3000 revival on Netflix. And God, I think
I'm not going to say I'm apprehensive because I gave them money for the Kickstarter. So you might have been apprehensive, but I said yes, please, thank you, sir.
May I have some more?
I was going to say you did the Oliver Twist. You said except a reverse Oliver Twist. Yes, sir, you can have some more. Okay. All right. So yeah, that's been a lot of fun. We're gonna talk about what we've seen of that, and whether or not it's a worthy successor to the original series. So, but of course, there is procedure to follow. So we are going to begin, as always, with the random topic of the week. And I mentioned a while ago that I got myself a new cell phone, and I've only had it for a few weeks, and I've already had my first major issue with it. And it's nothing with the phone itself. The phone is fine, but the new screen. Have you guys seen the new screen protectors that they're selling now that are tempered glass for smartphones? They're not the plastic sheet anymore. They're these actual hard glass pieces.
If you want to spend a lot of money, the glass one.
Yeah, and I
haven't updated my phone in several years. No, I have no idea what you're talking about.
Brian's still running around with a flip phone.
Not that old, asshole.
Yeah, those tempered glass screen protectors, I've gone through 3 of those in as many weeks.
Seriously? Because that's pretty much the cost of the phone at that point.
Yeah, because they are brittle things that will shatter in a stiff breeze, much akin to the old Sega CD and Sega Saturn cases. They're just like, they're just so brittle and fragile. And now I've only had to pay for 2 because I've only had to pay for 1 because the first one I got free with the phone, and then I got a courtesy replacement, and then I bought a third one last week that just today shattered completely apropos of nothing. And like here's what irritates me about it is that anyone who knows me knows that I treat my gadgets like I treat my children.
Poorly?
As soon as I said it, I was wait, I don't have children, so but I take good care of my electronics. So for this to keep happening, just really fucking bugs the hell out of me. And when I went in to see if I could get a replacement, because I wanted one with like the plastic sheet like the old style, I realized this is the new racket now. Because, when the iPhone first came out, you heard about people, damaging the screens, the actual screens with just like a touch and, having to get all those replaced. The outcry that came out, that was like, so this is the new racket. They're making the screens really robust, but the screen protectors, now they're making really fragile and charging you $50 a pop for them. And I'm just like, it seems like for every modern convenience we have, there's some annoyance that comes with it. So that's this week's random topic of the week is modern annoyances, things that you're like, why do we put up with this? So, Kat, as someone who's worked in a Best Buy and probably has seen a few of these, what are some modern annoyances that you've seen that you wouldn't have thought would have been a major issue?
What isn't? I could tell you one of the ones that I hate, and this is seriously first world problems here, folks. But when you buy a piece of electronic, like a new phone or a new computer, and it comes with software that you don't need, that you can't get rid of.
Oh God, yeah, like the antivirus demo that's for like Norton, that like in order for you to get rid of it, you've got to like go deep into the registry and perform some low spooky voodoo.
Yeah, stuff like that, especially on the phone, where it comes with, so if you buy, a Verizon Samsung phone, then it's going to come with a bunch of Verizon apps that you can't get rid of, and a bunch of Samsung apps that you can't get rid of, and you're never going to use any of them because you'll always find a Google app that does it better. Stuff like that. One of my great annoyances in technology right now, that you wouldn't think you'd still be dealing with, is at work. We have, our specific work computers and work programs. And for whatever reason, all of these work programs were built to run on Internet Explorer.
Oh, God.
Right? Because the programs are so old. And they update the programs, but they haven't updated them to work best on, Edge or Chrome or Firefox. So we're still using all these programs at work that work best on Internet Explorer. But some of them you can't update Internet Explorer because at least one of them works best on an old version of Internet Explorer. And we're just looking at this going, what the fuck? Why do we live in a world where my laptop is extremely expensive? We have these really nice expensive laptops and we still have to fucking use Internet Explorer.
God.
What the fuck?
Yeah, oh God. Not even Microsoft isn't supporting Internet Explorer anymore. Like, what does that tell you?
I know. It actually boggled my mind when I started for my work, just over a year ago, and they were operating, at least one program was a DOS system. And that was their newer program. And I'm like, what?
Now, I want to go back to something you said earlier. You mentioned when you buy a smartphone and it comes with a bunch of apps that you never use. The ones that really irritate me is not so much the apps that you get that you never use, but the ones that are automatically configured to send you alerts. Like on my previous phone, there's this one called, I think, like Flip something. It was like basically a programmed in news service. And like every hour on the hour, my phone would beep and it would be like, oh, I'm getting a text. I'm getting an email. Someone's trying to reach me. It's something important. My Facebook is updated. There's a Pokemon nearby, something I actually give a shit about. And it's some fucking news story about a conference being held in fucking Thailand. And I'm like, what the hell is this? And the thing is like, there was no way for you to remove this program. It was like, it wasn't just software. It was like written into the firmware of the phone. It was like written into the operating system of the phone. So there's no way for me to remove this app, and there's no way for me to turn it off. So I just have to endure my phone fucking going off about these fucking news stories that I don't give two shits about. And it just irritated the fucking hell out of me. And now this new phone that I got has this thing called Bixby. Have you seen this?
No.
Yeah, I'm calling it right now. It's going to be I think it's Samsung's new answer to Cortana and Siri.
Oh.
But like, every time I open up a new app, it's like, would you like to give Bixby permission to access this program? No! Quit asking me.
No, I want Bixby to shut up. Yeah, or every time an app updates, when it resets all of your settings. So if you've carefully crafted, say, for example, Facebook, not to have certain notifications on some things, and then it updates and then all of your settings are dead, and you have to go through and rechange all of your settings so you're not getting overwhelmed with video auto plays and notifications for stuff you don't want notifications for.
Okay, Brian, sorry to overlook you, but what's a modern technological annoyance that you've had to deal with, or that you've seen someone have to deal with?
I mean, that stuff's pretty sure. I'm pretty sure actually, not too long ago, my laptop, I thought it died. I thought the hard drive had died. Apparently, it was one of those programs that when I first got it, never used it, but like had caused errors and stuff like that. So that was fun. So yeah, that's never something I really want to deal with. I don't know. There's a lot, but I'm still shocked in the year 2017 people don't know how to use turn signals.
Never come and drive in Maryland. That's because
I've driven in Maryland, and you all can suck a dick. Well, the people who don't use turn signals. If you use turn signals, you're wonderful people, and thank you for listening to our show.
Which unfortunately is like most of Maryland. Like that's our thing. Every state has its own brain damage when it comes to driving. Marylanders don't use turn signals. Virginians like to weave in and out of lanes. Pennsylvanians have what I can only describe as being a sexual love for sudden stops in the middle of for no fucking reason in the middle of the fucking road. But that's discussed for another day. I'll tell you, you want to talk about a dirty fucking business that's populated by soulless vipers out to steal your money and do horrible things to your wallet. Fucking laptop repair services.
God.
I don't know if you've ever had to do repair work on laptop, but yeah, they're literally designed for planned obsolescence. Like it really says something nowadays that a lot of laptops are specifically designed not to be able to be taken apart unless you outright break the thing. I actually had a conversation with my dad a couple weeks ago. He was telling me about how he wanted to hit the cooling fan on his laptop was rattling. So, being the North Carolina go-getter that he is, he decided he was going to fix it himself. And he's talking about first I had to take off the screws on the inside of the casing. I had to take the battery out. Then I had to disassemble the screen. I had to remove the keyboard. The whole time going, yeah. You notice that none of this is a surprise to me. And so by the time it was all said and done, I had to basically break the laptop down to its component parts, and it took like 3 hours to take it apart and put it back together again. It's like, yeah, because they're not designed to be repaired. They're designed to break down after 3 years, and you have to go buy a new one.
Mm-hmm.
And it's even worse if we're talking about gaming laptops. Okay, I understand if you do a lot of traveling or you want a machine that, can play games that, you're maybe not going to put a whole lot of heavy use into. You just kind of look for something a little casual. I can see you buying a gaming laptop then. But, you get these people who they will spend like $2,500 for an Alienware or a really, high-end gaming laptop or for, God, a fucking iBuyPower. I'm sorry. If you buy an iBuyPower PC, desktop or laptop, I have no compassion for you. You deserve what you get. Those things are shit. But if something breaks down on those gaming laptops, you're out $2,500 and you've got to buy a whole new one. It's not like, say on a desktop where, the graphics card is given out. Oh, you could just swap it out for another one and, pay maybe $600. No, you got to buy a whole new laptop. So
I'm in the market for a laptop right now.
So
people on my Facebook have been chatting about recommending this and recommending that. And I'm like, I don't want to spend money.
So I saw.
That's what you get for asking for recommendations.
I know.
So I saw, and what piqued my interest was you said you preferred something gaming capable. So
gaming capable. If only this is just a small fling, but I actually got to meet one of the voice actors from Overwatch, and now I'm a little starstruck and maybe am thinking about playing Overwatch. But actually, what I want to do is I bought a copy of Elder Scrolls Oblivion, because I only play Elder Scrolls. I play Skyrim basically on my PS3 because I'm about 5 years behind on everything. And I've been enjoying Skyrim on the PS3, so I thought, oh, well, there's a used copy of Oblivion for a couple bucks at this half-price books. I'd like to buy it and see if it's any good, but I don't think my current laptop is capable of running it, so maybe if I got a new one, make sure that it's capable of running stuff.
Well, I will say this: if you enjoy Skyrim, if you do get yourself a gaming laptop, may I suggest that you pick up a PC version and dip your toes into the world of modding, because there's a load of awesome stuff that you can find. Actually, you mentioned the PlayStation 3. Something else that I want to bring up: fucking console updates that you turn on your console, you want to play a game, you want to go on Netflix or do something real quick, and you get this notice that your console needs to update, and you've got to wait 45 fucking minutes for the damn thing to download and install. PlayStation 3 was really bad for those things. Finally got to the point where I just, if I didn't touch it for 30 days, I just gave up on it unless I had like a day to kill, because God almighty, like getting an update to your PlayStation 3 took like the better part of a day.
It's like a fate worse than death. And at no point in time, you download the update knowing at any given time that could be the last update, because that could brick your device, because sometimes bad updates come out. And God forbid, like, you should be allowed to download this in the background and do other things while this thing is downloading and installing. No, you've got to sit there and watch this status bar crawl along for 30 fucking minutes and then do it again as it installs. Like, honestly, guys, multitasking, it's a thing. So anyway, that's our random topic for this week. We want to hear from you guys. What is a modern annoyance that you guys just absolutely modern technological annoyance that you guys just absolutely despise and you don't think should be an issue anymore? So sound off in the comments or in the emails. We'd love to hear your opinion on this. And so with that, we are now going to move on to the next segment of our show, and that is the Ask a Geek. And we've got some questions here. Let's see. First question here comes from Miller. It's just the only name it says Miller. I don't know if that's a first or last name. I don't know anybody who would be vicious enough to give their child the first name of Miller, but hey, first time for everything, I suppose. But he asked, for those of us following Samurai Jack, what did we think of the ending of season 5? So, Brian, I think you mentioned that you've been following this. I know I have.
I mean, yeah, it was a very short season, only about 10 episodes, so it was very easy to follow and get through it and everything like that. And there was no breaks. It was just episode 1 to episode 10. And then I think they're going to do like a big marathon of all the episodes all at the same time pretty soon here, so you can just watch them straight through.
Okay. So did you see the final episode? What were your thoughts on it?
I mean, I think the final episode, it ended the way it really should have ended, I felt like, with both, heroic triumph and a little bit of tragedy, because that's the way the character is in Samurai Jack a little bit. Mm-hmm. I think it sucks that he got both a happy ending and unhappy ending in the same time, but he is the lone samurai, so that was bound to happen. Yeah, from the Gurren Lagann school of endings. A little bit, but it also ended the way Jinder Tartakovsky wanted it to end. Like, this was like he had full control of this show from start to finish. So it's pretty much him going, it's done with, the story is now complete, and it has gone completely full circle. So like that, I'm very proud of. It's very rare a creator gets to do that.
Yeah, I really enjoyed the final episode for what it was. There were a couple criticisms that I have. First being, and this isn't really Tartakovsky's fault. I think it's really more the network's fault. I feel like they should have given him more time, because it was very clear in that final episode that there was a lot that he wanted to do, and he kind of had to rush through it. I really feel like that last episode should have been an hour, or at the very least a 2-parter. Because it felt very rushed. There was very little time for the story to breathe.
You can think about the episode before it, and this episode was the actual 2-parter, so that was sort of the conclusion to it. Because you had the big cliffhanger at the very end of the episode 9, leading up to this one, and the rally around Jack basically against Aku. I mean, there are times where those threads of those people sort of do get left out because everything changes by the end of the show. But the final frame, you can look at it, is sort of what makes up for everything.
Okay. So now, out of all the episodes of this last season, what was your favorite of them?
The favorite one was when he got balance back to his body, because they teased the whole him versus his inner demon or inner conscious that whole time. And for him to overcome that was, I think, one of the better, more beautiful episodes he had written and storyboarded, because you had him in his own mind getting over this, while Ashi outside of it was taking on an army by herself. So you got this chaos and calmness that's sort of beautifully worked together.
I think I still say that my favorite episode was I think it was episode 6 where Ashi is walking the earth and meeting all the people that Jack has helped in the past. And I've said it before, I'll say it again. You show me someone who didn't get teary-eyed at the Ravers singing the thank you song to Jack, and I'll show you someone who's got a body in their basement. So yeah. So that was so Samurai Jack season 10, and I'll tell you, I would love to I hope that they do more. I really hope that they do like an interquel series set between season 4 and season 5, because you'll notice those Roman numerals on the episode title cards jumped several sets of 10 from season 4 to season 5.
I would rather not. I think doing something like that is just going to, I think, just impute on what's already happened.
Okay. All right, and let's see. Next question here comes from Sally, and it's addressed to all the bronies in the team, which I think is just me now. And the question is what do we think of season 7 of My Little Pony so far?
Can I point out, whoever thought that would actually go to 7 seasons?
I know.
Nobody.
And so am I right in guessing that I'm the only one who's still following the show?
Yes.
Correct.
Okay. All right. Well, I guess this is my question for the week then. I gotta say, so far, the lion's share of what I've seen of season 7, I haven't really enjoyed. The season premiere I felt like was a non-starter. The Flurry Heart episode, I'm just gonna put this out of the way. I despise Flurry Heart as a character and as a plot device. I'm not a huge fan of Starlight Glimmer either. I feel like that they don't really do anything with her. So I kind of feel like, that these are characters that both kind of just need to disappear. That said, I will say that the episode where Starlight Glimmer and Pinky's sister Maud became friends, that there was a germ of a really good episode in there, but it was just ruined by, and I can't believe I'm saying this because I love Pinkie Pie, it was ruined by fucking Pinkie Pie being goddamn Pinkie Pie. Because like the whole plot of the episode is like her sister and Starlight are, trying to hang out and trying to get to know each other and be friends. And, Pinkie Pie is the nosy little busybody who's like, trying to force them together instead of letting things happen naturally. Let's see. There was the episode that followed that though, with Rarity and Sweetie Belle, and Rarity coming to terms with the fact that her sister is growing up, I thought was really well done, and I would love to see more of that. I think that's my biggest criticism with what I've seen of the season so far, is that it's very much been so far the Starlight Glimmer show. We've seen very little of the rest of the main cast, and I'm kind of feeling like Starlight Glimmer is kind of stealing the spotlight. So, but the season is still young. There's more to come. So, maybe something will happen that will change my mind. So yeah, there's that question. All right, and here is one for Kat, and this one is from Lisa, and she asks if you've been following the announcements regarding the live-action Death Note and what your thoughts on it are so far.
Oh God, I knew I would never be able to escape the live-action Death Note. I thought I had already talked about this on the show before, but in case I haven't, I will talk about it again. I just don't care that much about it, first off. I really was kind of hoping we wouldn't make a live-action Death Note in America, and there's nothing I can say about the live-action Death Note without somebody calling me racist. There's literally somebody will find you, hunt you down, and call you racist if you, express any kind of hope in Death Note. I'm okay with what they have announced so far, because it is an American adaptation, and it's gonna be a hell of a lot of white people watching it, so they cast a white guy. That is not a totally horrible thing to do. It's an American adaptation. It is not going to be page for page by the books or by the show or even by the other live action movie that kind of, creates the question, why do we even need an American live action version? There's already a live action version from Japan, and most people seem to like it. I didn't like it, but my opinion is pretty irrelevant in the grand scheme of things. Anyway, I will be interested, I guess, to see how much this blows up. Because we are pretty much in the every single thing that we try to adapt from Japan is going to be called whitewashing, as long as people know that it exists. If people haven't heard of it and it is brought to their attention that, oh, this is from Japan, people don't seem to care if it's whitewashing or not. As long as it's something that they already know about, they're going to bitch and moan, is what I have noticed. Because we have people bitching and moaning about Ghost in the Shell and people bitching and moaning about Death Note, but nobody said anything about Edge of Tomorrow or whatever that Tom Cruise movie got its name changed to, Live, Die, Repeat. Nobody gave a shit about that because nobody knew it was from Japan. So nobody was saying whitewashing, even though it kind of was. Under those same circumstances. So in any case, you can call me racist and you can say that I support whitewashing, but it's an American adaptation. They are going to cast what seems to make sense for whatever script it is that they wrote. We don't know how many changes that they're making to the live action American Death Note series. So we're really just going to have to wait and see if it plays out, if it's going to work or not. I, for one, think it'll be fine, but everybody's going to bitch about it nevertheless.
I think I'm almost convinced at this stage that Hollywood is just coming up with is just basically treating anime adaptations like they've been treating video game adaptations. Like, you know, let's get people who know absolutely nothing about the source material to direct this adaptation of a franchise that has, you know, tons of fans who love it to death. There's actually an article on Cracked either today or yesterday actually describing this phenomena where it's like, you know, they never get, you know, the people that they get to direct these things seem to almost brag about the fact they've had no prior exposure to it.
I'd actually say it's the opposite with the anime films. I really think there are people out there, directors and producers and stuff, who are actually big fans. But there's so much studio control. There's so much that they have to change for an American adaptation, because it really is. People want the movie to be good. The directors and the producers, they want to make a good movie that, but they also need people to watch it. And
marketing is marketing, and that's all we shall say on the subject.
Yes, we don't have a Hollywood that believes that casting Asian people for those roles is something that's going to sell. We're not there yet, because I believe it can, but I don't think Hollywood thinks that it can. And I don't think have any evidence one way or the other yet, because it hasn't happened. So one day they're just going to be brave and cast Asian people in Asian roles and not change them to white people roles, or come up with some explanation for why they're white, or just straight up, you know, change the nationality, and maybe it'll work. But we're not there yet. And I think people don't really understand that when we're adapting stuff for America, we really do have to adapt it for America. We're not going, oh, this is a live action adaptation, we're going to take it page by page like an anime might, you know, from a manga. We're literally having to change points about it, change characters to make it make sense for the audience that it's going to. And because of something like Death Note being put on Netflix, it's going to have a much larger exposure to a broader audience than just regular old anime or manga or novel Death Note might. So you have to cater to your audience to some degree that makes sense. So there's obviously going to be things that are going to change, and there's always going to be people who aren't a fan of that change. And somebody is still going to call me racist. I'm trying to toe the line as much as possible, because I'd rather we just not have made it at all.
All right, well, on to something that's a little bit less tap dancing on a minefield, and that's her second question, which is directed to me, which is my thoughts on the announcement of a reboot of the Resident Evil film series, to which I will direct you to both the forehead-shaped hole in my wall and the blood pouring out of my skull. I mean, no, we don't need any more. The Resident Evil film franchise needs to go away, and pardon the expression, but the body isn't even cold on the last film. So no, we just no more Resident Evil films. Please just let it pass away quietly in the night. So
I think it's ironic that the Resident Evil films are resurrecting like a zombie.
They just can't stay dead.
So, really? I'm the only one that saw that?
But then
I thought that was clever.
Well, I was trying to avoid the obvious pun.
No, the obvious pun is best pun.
All right, but that's all the Ask Geek questions that we have for this week. Thank you, as always, for sending them in. As always, you can send them to us either through the email at drgonzo@nerdofthethirdpower.com, or you can drop them in the comments below the episode on the YouTube feed. We love hearing your questions, love reading them on the air, love answering them. So get your questions in. Maybe yours will be read on the air. And so with that, we're going to jump right into the meat and potatoes of our show, which this week is the Mystery Science Theater Revival. Now, I know that me and Brian have both been huge fans of MST3K since young times. I don't know what Kat's history with it is, but recently there was a revival series that was revealed on Kickstarter, being produced by Joel Hodgson, the original creator of Mystery Science Theater 3000, with an all-new cast, and we there's some apprehension at first. It's like, Mystery Science Theater is one of those things where, so much of what made it what it was the combination of the people that were working on it at the time, and to have a whole new cast and a whole new crew, kind of raised a lot of eyebrows. But the first season has been released on Netflix, and we got a chance to look at some of it. So we're going to go ahead and take a look at it and see if this is a nice, worthy successor to the original series. So before we go any further, Kat, prior to this, did you have any exposure or history with the Mystery Science Theater series?
It was funny because I was telling my coworkers that I was watching some MST3K, and they're like, "Oh yeah, I've heard of that," and I'm like, "Okay, but did you watch it?" Nah. And then one of my other coworkers was like, "What is Mystery Science Theater?" I'm just like, "Fuck you, people!" I grew up on reruns of Mystery Science Theater 3000, and it's funny because I just started rewatching some of the old one to get me pumped up for the new one, and I honestly was watching the different hosts. Going, I don't remember what episodes of this I've seen. I just know that I watched a shit ton of reruns of this because I remember these hosts so well and I remember the bots so well, but I don't remember anything about the actual episodes. So I must have watched a ton of it when I was young, and I have such a good feel for the hosts and the bots, but I could not tell you what episodes of it I have seen.
It's sort of funny because you ever see, because they made almost 200 episodes before originally getting canceled, and so that's a lot of episodes, and that's a lot of movies, and best of lists have maybe 5 or 10 of some of the best, and I have collected almost every single DVD release that they've had. I bought it, and I watched them and I go through it because there's just some hilariously great episodes. And they're just episodes where you're going, well, it was funny, but man, where did they find this movie? Or where did they find this? Where was this hiding that they brought it back to show back into the light?
What hole did they find this movie in, and why didn't they leave it there?
People always say, well, Manos: The Hands of Fate is the worst film ever, and it was one of their funniest episodes, and that's true. Except Manos: The Hands of Fate is not the worst movie they've ever seen. It's mine was Monster Go-Go, where it was an hour and a half of pure agony that even they were and by the end they're like, oh God, just let this stop already.
I think my most tortured episode of the original series was Hobgoblins.
Oh, that was the one. That was the super 80s one.
Yeah, followed very closely by Invasion of the Neptune Men.
Invasion of the Neptune Men is horrendously hard to get through. both episode and movie.
This, like, it was so bad that, like, by the end of it, like, they were just, like, wishing for death. Crow's like, oh God, to die, to be nothing, to watch Neptune Men no more.
It sucked because, like, before that they had Prince of Space, which is a fantastic episode.
There was a real standout host segment in that routine, though, and that was the extended Who's On First sequence with the bots asking Mike what his favorite form of Japanese theater was, and he kept on saying no theater.
That's amazing.
I knew Cat would like that one.
I get it.
Okay, but now we've got a whole new series, all new cast, new set of writers. There's been some cameo appearances from previous from characters from the original series, but for the most part, it's an all new team, and that raised a bit of apprehension. So let's go ahead and take a look at how this series has composed itself so far. So Brian, why don't you give us a brief rundown of this series plot, and I ask you to please, for copyright purposes, not simply just sing the theme song.
Well, shit, because that's the best recap you can get, because it's in every episode. And actually, they're pretty cool. They might not actually be copyrighted. You never know. But so basically what it is that this is just a brand new series of Mystery Science Theater 3000. What has happened here is that newcomer Jonah Ray, which goes by the name Jonah Heston, I believe, in the show, gets trapped by the daughter of Forrester, Kinga Forrester, played by Felicia Day, and Max, TV sons of TV Frank. He gets trapped on the moon, because that's what happens, and is forced to watch bad movies, and he has to riff along with Crow and Tom Servo. Continuity, weird continuity, because the very last episode of Mystery Science Theater 3000, Mike and the bots escape from space, only to live out their lives in an apartment, watching late night bad movies and making fun of it. It was almost a perfect ending. So how they got back up into space, I don't know. So they never bring that up. That's just a weird thing. But here's sort of the general overview to go through it. That's the plot, if it makes any sense, why he's in space and why he's watching bad films. But the show is still the same. Like, while you have these new actors, the show is still the same. Like, they did not really mess with the format. You know, it was an opening. We have a kind of cold opening. Then you have the theme song. You go into the invention exchange, which they brought back because that was Joel's thing when he was on the show, because it was a prop comic beforehand. And then you have the movie, have a few host segments in between it, and the riffing. Like, the format of the show is the same. And that's, like, to me, that was the key for me if I was going to enjoy this show or not, was, are they going to mess with the formula? Because that formula is just a part of the show as the actors and the writers that were involved. And they didn't. They just, they might have tweaked a few things, but nothing was really different. And that, for me, I was like, this is what I wanted. This is what I was expecting of it. There are some critiques about it I'll get into maybe a little bit later when we go into the criticisms. But overall, this show is Mystery Science Theater 3000 if they got like this is several seasons down the line, and they had to change up the actors again. Like, that's how I felt about it.
Okay. Kat, what about you? What are your general thoughts of the series so far?
Honestly, I could flip-flop, as I have been, between watching the old show and watching the new show, and just going, oh yeah, it's like the same thing. Like, it's like Brian was saying, having the format be the same really makes it feel like they never stopped. And it's great. I love it. I'm really, really enjoying it.
Okay. For my part, I've only seen the first couple episodes. And even then, because I had to watch them at work while I was busy fighting off a cyber attack, I couldn't really give it my full attention, which I really regret. But definitely the first episode felt very rough to me. It felt like they were just kind of like, like they were trying on new shoes, having to break them in. But I definitely saw a lot of potential in the series, and I'm excited to see more. I think a lot of the casting was really inspired. Jonah, I'm still kind of on the fence about. I don't know. He seems kind of flat to me so far. But I will say that Felicia Day as King of Forrester definitely knocks it out of the park. Patton Oswalt as TV son of TV's Frank. I could take or leave at this point, but again, it's early in the series, so maybe as he grows into the role, I'll become a little more enthusiastic about it. But I'll say right now that King of Forrester is, as far as the human characters go, is the standout. I definitely like the guys that they got to voice Crow and Tom in this new series. They definitely have the personalities down. I was a little surprised that they the voice actress they got to voice Gypsy, because Gypsy's voice in the original
woman, for example.
Well, Gypsy's voice in the original series was very distinctive. It was kind of like it was like Darth Vader's breathing. If you changed it, you almost changed the whole character. So this is almost like I had to get used to this being almost like a whole new Gypsy. So that takes some getting used to. But I don't know if like I said, I haven't seen the whole series yet, so I don't know how much they really do with her. So you guys know more about that than I do.
Well, they actually incorporate her into the theater now a little bit. Like she'll get a riff in every so often and then sort of disappear. So it's actually kind of an interesting little twist they put to it.
Yeah, that is something that I have noticed is that that I did like is things have gotten a little bit more elaborate. Not just with the host segments, but with the theater setup. Like, I love that Tom actually can float now. Again, like there are times where he will actually fly up to actually interact with the movie itself. Like early in the first episode, he flies up to give one of the characters in the film a little kiss on the nose. That I thought was hysterical, because I didn't think they were going to do that. So it's great to see. It's definitely clear to me that the cast and crew are definitely having a blast making this new series. And it definitely comes across in the performances and in the script writing.
Now you kind of mentioned that the first episode was being rough. Now that's also a little bit because the movie Reptilicus, like nothing happens for like the first hour. But also if you go back and watch, I believe the Brain That Wouldn't Die. And because that was the first episode Mike was on, and then like you sort of compare it to like the first episodes that Joel had done, you can tell it's because it was sort of a switch of hosts and a switch of writing. There is that moment of trying to get it right, and as this series progressed, because it's 14 episodes long, as the series progressed, they start to make the show their own a little bit more. Like they're getting comfortable in their shoes, like you said, like trying on new shoes. They're getting comfortable. The jokes are a little bit more personal to them. They sometimes play out a couple of oldies every so often, like the "No, you do it, I'm bitter." They bring that joke back maybe one too many times, but they get into it. Like, it's always the first couple of episodes, like a pilot episode, it's always going to be kind of rough because it's the first ensemble of them getting together. There was really no like test episode. They were just put it together and go. So yeah, the more it gets on, I would say for me, the best, it was when they got to, I believe, Avalanche, which is a movie about, an avalanche. And it was one of those sort of like disaster films, which is something
Avalanche.
Yeah. There's something they haven't actually done before in Mystery Science Theater, at least not often. And so it was just this unique new thing. I was like, now they finally have made it their own.
Okay, all right, yeah. They definitely, from when I was, particularly with Jonah, from when I saw the first couple episodes, I really got a sense that I guess because Joel hadn't worked with him before, that Joel was kind of maybe subconsciously writing the script as if he was still the host. Not really knowing how to write for Jonah. So what I'm guessing is going to happen is that as the series goes on and Jonah has a little bit more, gets more of a chance to play with the character, and Joel becomes a little more comfortable working with him, that we'll start to see Jonah kind of come into his own as a character. Because like I said, so far Jonah's really just felt like Joel 2.0. Whereas, you'll recall like you mentioned the switch from Joel to Mike. Mike was very much a different style of character compared to the more slower, laid back Joel. Mike was much more energetic and maybe not enthusiastic, but definitely more proactive. as far as like his comedic styling went.
Well, Joel was the father figure because he made the bots. Mike was sort of like the brother figure because they got stuck in space with these people as well. So they got the bots got to torture Mike a little bit more than they would torture Joel.
Yeah,
I'm not sure where Jonah sort of falls in that dynamic. Maybe he's like a roommate.
All right. I'll tell you something that I am looking forward to seeing, and that's the return of Mary Jo Pell, Bill Corbett, and oh God, what's his name? The guy who played Bobo.
Kevin Murphy.
Yeah. In their cameo appearances. That I'm really looking forward to seeing. Because I've kind of jumped back and forth in the series. So so now since we're talking a bit about the cast, we've talked about Jonah. What do you guys think of other specific cast members? So, Kat, let's start with you. Who are the standouts on the cast for you?
I actually think the opposite of you with the cast in terms of the villains, because I think Patton Oswalt is great in this, and I think Kinga, Felicia Day, they are not playing to her strengths in this script. She feels so one note in it. Like her character does not interest me all that much. And I haven't seen the whole series yet, so I don't know if maybe she does more interesting things or not. But she just doesn't seem all that fun so far in what I've seen. Whereas Patton Oswalt, I feel like he's a little more interesting. And I don't know if it's just because he's the minion and she's the boss and she's got to be a certain way in order to be the boss. But I don't know. I'm not getting a whole lot of energy out of her or something. It's just like they have good chemistry together, but I just don't find her character interesting.
So you think she needs to bring the ham a little more?
Yeah.
If she brings any more ham, they may have to start taxing bacon.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know what they could do to just, change it up a little bit, but it just feels like she's just one note. She's there to have, this quick line and that line, and then it's the same thing every episode, and nothing really seems to change for her in particular. It's just always, oh, something's happening, ma'am. Oh, well, I'm going to bitch about it, and then here's the movie. And it just doesn't seem to vary at all. And I know Felicia Day is an actress, and I know what she's capable of, and it seems like she should be doing a lot more, and I haven't seen her, and I don't know. I haven't seen all the episodes yet, so maybe she does break out and have a huge musical number all to herself.
Well, she doesn't have one. I will give you this. I won't spoil it. She doesn't have a musical number to herself, but she does have a musical number.
Okay, good. Other than just her singing along with the intro, because they seriously, in what I've seen, they haven't played to her strengths yet, and I don't want to say it's disappointing, but you see the area of opportunity there, and you just want it fulfilled because she's so great.
Okay, all right. Brian, what about you? What are your thoughts on the casting so far?
I mean, I think everything has both strengths and weakness because I feel like I'm the only one that has seen the whole show all the way through, and like I said, it does get a little bit better, and you get more out of them and better character interactions and so forth. So I have no bad critique. It's one of those weird things where like I'm not upset, like I'm not like it's not bad, could be better. It's just them getting back into the groove, or the team that is in place getting to where they want to be. Everything, but I will say there's one aspect of the show that is new that I do not like is celebrity cameo appearances. Is something I actually do not like about the show. Like when the show began, one of the first people you see is Will Wheaton. And I was
sorry, Will Wheaton.
Yeah, Will Wheaton. And I went going, why are you here? And then it continues on, like some of the host segments where they have like visitors and stuff like that. They're played by a lot of famous people. Now, some of them are really cool famous people. Some of them famous people that went, "Why are you here?" But in the original show, one of the charming thing, because the show was so low budget that everyone had to play 3 or 4 roles, because that's all they could afford. They couldn't afford any real actors. They had to be the actors. Not saying they're not real actors. You guys are awesome. But anyway, to see now sort of celebrities sort of show up, it sort of takes you out. Like it's no longer this homegrown, like homebrewed show anymore. It's now this weird cultural phenomenon that famous people want to get their hands in.
So Brian, do you feel like because there's all these cameos and stuff, does it make it feel like the show has sort of sold out to you a little bit, maybe?
No, I don't. I mean, no, I don't think it would. I think sell out. I think it finally made it big. If this makes any sense, I've never liked the idea of calling things selling out, because it's like, why are you upset that the person is doing what they love and making money? So I'm happy that we have it returned, and I helped kickstart it and everything like that. It's just so strange to me, almost going back to those old hipster ways of myself that I'm slowly turning into. Was like, I remember this show, watching it on Comedy Central Sunday mornings, just having a good old time, and now it's on Netflix with so many people backing it, and you have people writing reviews and think pieces about it. It's like it shocks me that it has blown up. So if that makes any real sense, it was sort of like it was something I really enjoyed, and I would share it with people who didn't know what it was, and they would all look at me funny, and I go, it's hilarious. So to see these, to know that other celebrities were on the same page as I was with this show, and then are now in the show, it's mind-boggling almost. It's very taken aback.
Does it sort of take you out when you're watching it, and then you're like, oh, that's Will Wheaton, and you stop thinking, oh, it's a show, and you start thinking, oh, that's a celebrity in a show? Like,
it does take you out a little bit. Like that Will Wheaton's the perfect example, and like, all right, I'm ready for this show, and I can't wait. What's Will Wheaton doing here? And then the theme song kicks on. I'm like, oh, okay, I'll go back. No, because it doesn't happen very often, but every time it did happen, it made me go, oh, what are you doing here?
So now I want to go back to something you said earlier about the show becoming big and becoming a phenomenon. And this is sort of the elephant in the room that we kind of have to address here. But do you think that the success of riff tracks might have anything to do with interest in the series blowing up the way it has?
Not really. I mean, Riff Tracks is its own sort of. I mean, it's still mystery. It's sort of a Mystery Science-esque, situation with it. I don't, and like, yeah, I would consider it successful because they've had live shows and they show out in the theaters and everything like that. But like, even then, it was still because of Mystery Science that even Riff Tracks existed. So I think this blew up because a lot of people who watched the show that made it the cult classic it was are now people who are making their own things again and trying to get their hands involved with it. It's because the show, the Kickstarter made something like $5 million, which I think was more than what the entire show was worth for 10 seasons it was on, combined, of how much money that was spent on it. So it's just mind-boggling to me that it just got to a point now where it's not, I wouldn't say household name, but it's just out there now, and so many people are into it, and so many people watch it or even knew what it is or knew what it was.
Now, like we mentioned that Kevin Murphy makes a cameo appearance. Do you think that Mike Nelson and the rest of the Riff Tracks team will make appearances in the show?
Well, Bill Corbett's also part of the Riff Tracks team, and he also makes.
That's right, Brain Guy. Because like this is something that I think I've asked you about, and I can't remember if you ever gave me a straight answer to that. But I seem to remember hearing that there was some animosity from some of the old cast members about the new series. Can you expand on that?
No, every fucking year. It's like an annual thing now that someone starts up this conversation. It's like, well, I heard the old castmates hate each other. No, they don't. They love each other. They worked with each other, both past and present. They had a reunion at San Diego Comic-Con. There is no animosity. maybe there's different philosophies on riffing. Some of the guys might try to be a bit more, let's say, hostile to a movie that they're watching, while the other guys try to be a bit more laid back. But that's just a different philosophy. The animosity comes from their old producer. So the old producer is the one who had Joel leave the show.
That's Jim Mellon, right?
Yes. So he and Joel didn't get along, and that's why Joel left. So, and then Mike, Bill, and all them took over after Trace left. So people put this idea of classic show versus new show. But what happened is that Jim also screwed over Mike, Kevin, and Bill when the show officially did get canceled out, because Joel sold the show to the producer, Jim. And Jim took it and got it, obviously was getting DVDs made, sets made, and things like that. But he was cutting out the cast, basically, of the money. And then he tried to do a revival of Mystery Science Theater 3000 on his own when web animation was still very kind of young, and it wasn't good. It changed it.
That was the Bots Are Back series. Is that what you're referring to?
It wasn't riffing movies. It was just weird cartoony shorts. He didn't bring back the original voice actors. He didn't even try to bring back the original voice actors. He cut them out completely, So that the animosity is not between the cast with each other. It's the cast versus this producer. That's where it came from. So the only reason Mike didn't cameo probably in the first season of Mystery Science Theater 3000, because Mike's behind Riff Tracks and he's kind of busy. Because they're doing live shows and getting shorts made and all this other stuff. Like, that's really the only reason they haven't gotten together, because they still have the Mystery Science Theater reunion show that came out earlier this year, late last year, I think. And so obviously why would a reunion show have animosity? That doesn't make any sense to me. Logically, that makes no sense.
Well, remember, we're also in the age where, if there's even if there's even a hint of smoke, we assume that there's a fire. So if there's even it's, I call it we have a Bruce Wayne complex. If there's even a 1% chance that there's a fight going on between two people, we have to take it as absolute certainty.
I mean, I guess there is that involved with it, but no. So there is nothing like that. So anyone who thinks there is, no. I even met Joel Hodgson. He came to San Antonio with a show called Riffing Myself, and he's a wonderful human being who holds no ill will towards anyone. Now, he doesn't quite like Jim, the producer, but I don't think he's going to hold ill will. He's
not burning him in effigy or stabbing a voodoo doll.
He's way too Minnesotan for that.
Okay. All right. So now that we've seen some of the new series, let's kind of look ahead. What are some things that you'd like to see them do with the new Mystery Science Theater 3000 series? Maybe some movies that you'd like to see them riff on, or some segments that you'd like to see them do. So let's open the floor here. So Kat, let's start with you. What would you like to see them? Where would you like to see them take this new series?
To a second season.
Well, duh, but how?
I don't know what you want me to say. I enjoy it because I don't know these movies, so I don't have this film, because I wouldn't know about these goddamn films if they didn't riff them. But I don't mind the cameos, so I wouldn't mind a couple more, B-list actor cameos coming up in there. I don't know. I don't even know that there's going to be a season, so I'm going to say I hope they take it to a second season.
Okay. Brian, what about you? What's something that you'd like to see them do with this new series?
I mean, obviously, I would love for it to continue on and get their strengths and get things going again, because even the first Mystery Science, it took about a season for it to really hit and go flying. I wouldn't mind them maybe dipping in a little bit of the horror franchise again, because there's some really good. Well, good is a technical term.
Good with the largest air quotes that can ever be made.
Good for a Mystery Science episode. Good. That's what I'm going for.
Some excellent candidates.
Yeah, excellent candidates that do exist. Both older. I want them to try to steer away from Riff Track, because Riff Tracks does the modern films. I want this Mystery Science to steer away from that. Stay pure of finding these older films that you've never heard of, or maybe you have heard of, and you went, holy crap, I can't believe they're doing that. Like in this series, they did a movie called Star Crash, which is a movie I've heard of for a while because it was, a Star Wars ripoff, basically. And where the main female character's clothes keep disappearing magically through the whole film. No explanation. And also at the very towards the end of the film has a super young David Hasselhoff. So when they showed that, I was like, holy crap, they're doing Star Crash. Like I like getting a little like shocks and surprised by that. Because I'll show my friends going, hey, remember that really awful movie I want you to watch? They're like, yes, Mystery Science episode. All right, it'll be tolerable now.
I tell you what, I would love to see some more of, and this, I don't know if it'll happen, because it was something that happened a lot more in the Mike era than the Joel era, but I would love to see some funny musical numbers, because like I very clearly remember some of the songs sung in the host segments from the original series, like Tubular Boobular Joy, or the Servo Academy Choir, which were all great segments. Like, I'll still just break out into a chorus of Tubular Boobular Joy just for the hell of it, because it's just that catchy a song. So I would love to see some more of the musical sequences, which I think you said there's actually one this season.
There's actually a couple ones. So there's one that involves Kinga and another sort of a cameo. There's one that Jonah does, actually. I think it was like the second episode, which was Wilderness. I think it was supposed to be the Sasquatch film where Sasquatch barely shows up, where he sings about different cultures and their sort of like mythical monsters. Is actually
that's in the first one with Reptilicus. Was it the first one?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, because like that was actually like that one I thought was really impressive and catchy.
That's how I knew I was gonna like it.
Yeah.
When I was just going, okay, they're just riffing on this film, but now they've broken out into this Daikaiju.
Okay, and I tell you something else I'd like to see. You Brian, you'll remember from the original series that they would occasionally show shorts before the films. I don't know if they do that in this season yet, but one of my life's dreams, like I cannot die until this happens, but if they decide to do shorts, I would love for them to riff on the mid-90s Bubsy cartoon pilot, because that was just so awful, and I think that they would just have so much fun tearing it to pieces. I would love to see that.
Bubsy cartoon pilot?
Yeah. Look it up on your own time, and be sure to update your life insurance policy beforehand, because its awfulness is such that you may be driven to punch your own clock afterwards.
Was Bubsy, wasn't that like a game mascot?
Yeah, and it got a pilot for a cartoon series in the mid-90s with Bubsy being voiced by Rob Paulson. It's the one role that, like, if you bring it up to him, he just will not speak of it. So yeah, but I
would say I don't really agree with that. I think they should, like, doing the old shorts from like the 1940s or 50s or 60s, which were like absolutely bonkers insane sometimes, is more their style than doing TV shows or things like that, or old cartoons that don't exist.
So, well, like I said, that's just something that I'd like to see. So, all right, we're running a bit long. That's about all the time this week. So sound off in the comments. If you guys taking a look at the new MST3K series, what are your thoughts? What would you like to see them do with it? So, thank you as always for tuning in. And that's about all the time we have for this week. So let's see. Brian, what do we have on the rotation for next week?
We don't have anything on the rotation for next week.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, then, okay, I guess next week is planning out the next rotation. So I do know that we do have plans to do Wonder Woman. I think that we'd be lynched if we didn't. So, definitely look forward to that. And we'll see you next time. Thank you as always for tuning in. As always, I'm Dr. Gonzo.
I'm the cat.
And I'm Brian.
All right. We will see you next week. We'll see you next time. Thank you as always for tuning in. Taka, play us out.